Report, Georgetown edition. I'm here with Hoya assistant coach Jeff Battle. Appreciate the time. How we doing? Only a couple weeks away now.
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Always good to be on with you. Doing well. Just gearing up for the season, practicing. A couple of scrimmages under our belt. So getting ready, gearing up for November 7th.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about a little bit about those, top secret scrimmages that everyone seems to find out about. But just before that, obviously, the recent news of the injury to Ish Masood, just kind of, I don't know what that expected timeline is, if we can even talk about that. But, just kind of the impact of obviously missing one of the guys with experience that has come on board and what that means, for the rest of the roster in terms of them stepping up for this beginning part of the season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He's had a great summer. He's been one of our most consistent guys. He's an experienced guy. He's a high IQ. He's starting to figure out our system, how we're going to utilize him. So that is a blow, to start the season without him. I'm not sure of the timeline yet, but I do know he's going to work his tail off to get back as soon as he can. And other guys are going to have to step up in his absence. But to be honest, that's a big blow for us. But as part of the game, we feel bad for Ish because he's, like I said, he's one of our hardest workers, one of our most consistent guys, experienced guy that can make shots, spread the floor, spacing. So we're going to miss him for sure.
Definitely. And, with those scrimmages, you and the staff, I know the guys are probably just as excited as you guys are just to kind of finally play someone else, obviously. But, you've had a couple, what are some things that maybe you've liked and a couple things where you guys, need to go back to the drawing board? And again, I know improvement is, doesn't all happen in the off season. You're going to be doing that during the season, but just with what you've seen, some positives and some things, you guys got to work on.
Well, these things are really good because, you can always use them as teaching tools. You can use it to gauge where you're at. And you can kind of, pick and choose what you want to present to the team, where you got to really, really grow in certain areas and stuff like that. So it's been really good from a teaching standpoint. One of the things that we're happy with where we're at right now is we consistently played hard in both scrimmages, practices as well, leading up to the scrimmages. That's a consistent is playing hard. We have to do some things better. We got to be better on the glass, be better on the backboard. Giving up threes, that's our mantra. We don't want to give up threes. So those are a couple areas that we want to get better at moving forward, is defending the three-point line. And obviously rebounding the ball. We're not extremely deep in at that position in the post. And so we're going to have to gang rebound and encouraging our guards to get in there and start rebounding for us a little bit more as well. So those are just a couple of things off the bat that we know we have to, clean up a little bit as we move forward.
Definitely, and you've, I'm not going to go down the whole roster, but just talk about a couple guys. You've had, not only recruited but developed, some pretty elite guards, throughout your coaching career. Chris Paul, Teague, Ish Smith. You look at someone like Jordan Epps. I know he's obviously a guy that Hoya fans are excited about. I think there were some discussions. I don't know if these reports are true, but just about what he was able to do in that first scrimmage. But obviously a talented guard. What has impressed you most about him, and what has been the development that you and the staff have been focused on with him?
Well, I've been really impressed by his willingness to learn and take the coaching and get better. And that's been really, really exciting for me personally to bring him in, watch film with him. He wants to learn. He wants to get better. He wants to understand the nuances of being a point guard. Obviously, we know how he can score the ball, which is a really, which we're going to need from him as well. But his confirmation or transformation into trying to be a little bit more of a point guard is something that we're working with him on, looking at different reads, what he should be looking at off ball screens, in our actions, how can he get other people involved? So he's been really good with that in terms of the reception of that, of being coached. And so if he continues on that path, he has a chance to be a special player. He's tough, he's gritty, he fits us, he fits Coach Cooley. And, we're expecting a lot from him this year.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I said, people you've worked with, but, if Hoya fans aren't familiar, you were a hell of a point guard yourself. So not just as a develop, but a point guard. I'm still looking for that tape, those NCAA tournament games. I'm gonna find them.
VHS, baby, VHS.
I know, I know. Um, and staying with the backcourt, Rowan and Jay, what's been the focus, with them, not just individually, but again, as you look at these three guards, a talented group, but just in terms of roles and them playing with each other, again, they haven't had that opportunity yet, but just kind of the focus of, all three of those guys and what their roles can be and how they can work off each other.
Yeah, well, Rowan again is he's a true point guard. He's a facilitator. We're trying to get him to be a little bit more aggressive offensively, which he's starting to figure out as well as we move along. But very high IQ guy. We feel like with those two playing together, we should be able to have terrific ball movement. It will allow us to play with more pace. And then you get a guy like Jay Heath, a veteran guy in the mix too, who can make shots and score. He's been able to score his whole career. We can get him back going. He's been a little banged up here in the preseason, but those three guys there are pretty good on the perimeter. And then, obviously you throw in Dontrez too, who's an athletic wing guy, transferred to us from North Carolina. We're looking for big things from him as well.
Definitely. And, I don't think going out on a limb or by saying, you look at the front court, obviously with this injury and obviously size, there's not a ton of size. You do have it. But with you with your front court, obviously you guys have brought in a couple of guys, think of a guy like Styles. I know Matumbo is there. You have Fielder, I know who you guys have been high on. You've been recruited, initially at Providence, now at Georgetown, very talented, versatile big man. But just your front court, what you guys see and where maybe, the versatility can be a factor for you, despite maybe a lack of size and depth.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be tough. We're gonna have to be tough-minded, and we're gonna have to gang rebound, like I alluded to earlier. Drew Fielder is a talented freshman, but he's a freshman, and we're counting on him to do some things just because of the situation, and he's so far stepped up to that. He's getting more physical. He's understanding how physical it is at this level, but he's skilled. He can make shots. He's tough. He'll go in there and bang and. He can make passes. You can run offense through him. So he's been good, but he's continuing to learn. He's continuing to grow. Supreme Cook has been physical for us. He's been a great addition as well. He runs the floor. He can score inside. He's going to empty the tank every night. He's a blue collar type player. And then we're going to need Ryan. He's got great size. I mean, he's a big kid. He can take up space in the paint. We're going to ask him to rebound and be more of a leader defensively, an anchor type deal for us in there as well. So it's kind of by committee, but all of those guys will understand their roles, and we have to get something out of those guys, no doubt.
Absolutely. And, just a couple more. I do want to talk about recruiting. As I mentioned, you've been an elite recruiter your whole life. Since you joined the coaching careers. I know even at you look at Wake Forest, you guys have had multiple top 10 recruiting classes. Does anything change for you kind of having, obviously, Georgetown with its rich history? How much does that play a role, or can that play a role when you're sitting down with families and kids? Again, something you've been able to recruit very highly, before ever becoming, an assistant at Georgetown. But the fact that plays as you guys are, again, trying to build this program back up.
Yeah, well, you hit it on the head. Georgetown, the brand itself, it still resonates with a lot of people. Kids across the country still resonate with the brand, and so that has allowed us to be involved with the type of players we need to be involved with at this level, obviously. And then the academic success here, the reputation of the school academically as well. It's a big time school. There's a lot to sell. The city of DC, it's one of the most important cities in the world. And so you combine all that, and then obviously competing in the Big East, and there's a lot of positives going. So, we're just trying to, establish our culture here, get this thing going in terms of wins in the win column, and then we think everything else should take care of itself. But yeah, it's been great, man. The reception that we've had from parents, recruits, it's been unbelievable, and we're just trying to keep that going.
Absolutely. And last question, kind of off that and what you kind of discussed, when I had the privilege of kind of meeting with you this summer, kind of seeing the facility, and you had mentioned something, I know it was kind of early on when you guys first arrived, just, as you guys as a staff, putting your stamp on this program, where do you feel like, in this, it's only been one off season, but where do you feel like the progress is in terms of you guys putting your stamp on, and not just stuff on the floor? Obviously, wins is where it's going to start, but just the stamp of, you and the Pooley staff at Georgetown.
Yeah, well, I think it's it's been good. Like I said, we've been very well, recepted here, so accepted rather, and so it's allowed us to open up, let people around here know who we are, not only on campus but in the community as well. Coach has done a great job of inviting people in and people coming in, even as just to watch practice or stop by the office, just so because it's really important that they know who we are beyond basketball. And so, even, reaching out to the former players, they've been great to turn and having, accessibility to the program and that kind of thing. So I think all that comes into play, like you said, even before you even get to the court. And so hopefully we can continue to do that, moving forward.
Definitely. Well, listen, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. I'm looking forward to, popping in with you, throughout the season here and there. But best of luck. And again, looking forward to this new chapter of Hoya basketball.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.